Okay, so how's everyone doing? Good. Okay, so we're going to talk about AI. I'm Koh. I run a company called Martini. Martini is a San Francisco-based AI film tech startup backed by Y Combinator, and I'm the CEO and co-founder. My co-founder is not here right now. I think he's at the booth. Um, the main Hello. The main purpose of this talk is to have table stakes to have a conversation around AI. This is not so much a technical talk about AI. I have another talk tomorrow that's more of a demo of our product. But today is just a high level overview. So if you want to have more technical conversations, you can come to our booth later. But this is more of an introduction to how we think about AI. Martini is creating a new kind of product. It's a very new product category. A lot of products and companies are not doing what we're doing, so it's hard to categorize what we're doing. So that's why I made this talk today. Okay, so before I start, there's three sections. So first I'm going to talk about myself so that you understand the lens that I'm talking about this from. Then I'm going to talk a little bit about how we view AI at Martini. And this is a synthesis of what we've heard from our production companies that use us, what we're seeing in the market, and where the technology is going. And finally, I'll show a little bit about what Martini is and where it plays inside this ecosystem. So a little bit about myself. I used to be a DP. I used to do a lot of indie cinema, TV commercials. So these are films that I shot. This is not AI. I talk at a lot of AI native film conferences, and when they look at this slide, they're like, "Oh, this is just nano banana." But no, this is real stuff. And I've kind of lived a dual life. So I've had my work as a DP, but I've also dabbled with technical things as well. So this is a product that I designed 10 years ago. It's called Focus-Eye. It's a LiDAR-based follow focus system. So when I was when I was at AC, I would always be looking at how focus pullers are doing their job. And I always felt like it was a little bit funny. So the way focus pulling, this product works is it's touch-based. You touch on a touch screen, and then it focuses there using LiDAR. So you get millimeter accurate readings. So I've been dabbling both on the technology side and also on the artistic side. So that's where I come from. Most recently, I was at Stanford doing my grad school in design engineering. So trying to combine both the creative side and engineering. So I spent a few years thinking about how media and storytelling is going in the future. And most recently, I just started Martini, which is backed by Y Combinator. So at a broad level, I want to talk about what we mean when we talk about AI. And I think there's two definitions of AI, and people confuse these quite frequently. So the first is this agent automation. So that's the AI that goes on and does something for you, right? And then there's a second kind, which is the generative AI, which is a new medium that's being created. And these are two different AIs that I think are not really, I think if you spend enough time in it, you know the distinction, but if you're new to it, you confuse the two, and it's hard to have tangible conversations around it. So I want to make clear that there's two kinds of AIs. There's one that just goes off and do something, and there's one that's this new kind of medium. Okay, they're two different things. So I'm going to make a 2x2 here, okay? So it's a spectrum. There's traditional media. This is like, going out, going to a location, shooting. And then there's purely synthetic media, generative AI. And it's a spectrum. It's not binary. So for example, you could there's a way of making a film now where maybe you have a 10-day shoot on a location. Instead of going to the location and spending 10 days to get shot by shot, you could actually do it in one day. You bring all your crew, all your actors, but instead of doing video, you're just going and taking still photos of each angle. So that part is traditional. You're going and taking still photos of each angle, but then you put it into AI to animate it. So then that's kind of a hybrid way of doing production. So this is not binary, it's linear. It's not binary, it's a spectrum. And then there's another axis, which is it fully autonomous? Is it this agentic AI, non-human doing something, or is it a human creator manually doing something? And inside these 4 quadrants, there's very different ways to think about AI and use AI and the kind of software that you're going to be using. So traditional filmmaking and video production, I think we can agree, belongs in the bottom left quadrant. It's a traditional media, and there are people manually doing it. But over the years, traditional software have been incorporating ways to make it more autonomous. So I'll give you an example. An example is Photoshop and the Magic Lasso tool. That is helping people doing their manual work a little bit more automated, but it still belongs in a traditional piece of software. Now, recently, this is the past 2 years, there's been this new kind of filmmaking, fully manual filmmaking, but using this new media, a generative media. When people talk about, when you go to TikTok and you're seeing AI films, it usually means someone is manually creating it with this new synthetic media called generative media, generative AI. Okay? So, and the interesting thing here is that both of these axes are improving by the week. So the conversation that we have 3 months ago is very different from today. And a good benchmark of this is the Will Smith spaghetti benchmark. I don't know if you guys, how many of you have seen this? Yeah, so this is like the index of how good AI is. So in 2023, trying to get Will Smith, this is synthetic media, yeah? Trying to get Will Smith to eat spaghetti look like that. In 2025, this is VO3, much better. And then 2026, I have the mind-blowing emoji. I mean, we're still only 4 months in, and we have Seed Dance 2 now, and it will blow 2025 away. Okay, so we see that it's improving. Okay, so I'm going to show you a few examples of how we've seen people use this media in the 4 quadrants. Okay, so first I'm going to talk about what this looks like. Manual filmmaking with this new media of generative medium. Okay. So this is a film that I shot. I DP'd last year. This is last year's technology. This is the old way of doing things. With a director, his name is Skandar, Oscar-nominated director. And this is a 10-minute AI film. And we tried to shoot it in, purely synthetic media. So I'll show you one scene of it.
Passkey or two-step verification?
2 steps, please. 1, 2.
No passkey? Try another way.
Hashush, hashush, hashush. And then the rat brings her home. Her mom screams like crazy because the rat was dirty. And after, they cleaned the rat. And the rat still looked dirty. Her mother said, "Get a better pet. Because this is like a donkey." And the bowl goes kaboom.
Okay, so that's last year's generative AI. That's purely synthetic, yeah? But it was a traditional film team making that film. So, I mean, I'm a DP, I had a director, we wrote the script, we had an editor. There's nothing automated about it. It is just human creators using this new medium to try to do the traditional work. And the way we did that is we storyboarded each shot. This is the process. Yeah, we storyboarded each shot, and then we go and we do a lot of takes with AI, and it's a lot of work. Yeah, if you've done any AI filmmaking, you know it's like playing roulette. Not easy. Okay, so that's kind of the state of what AI filmmaking looked like last year, and I call that artisanal AI because it's this new generative media, but really it's not this automated AI we think about. It's very manual. But what's been interesting is that last year in December, Anthropic released this new model called Claude 4.5, and it kind of changed the equation for what agentic looks like. And now we can start imagining what this new territory looks like. And I'm going to show you a clip of what making a film now in that top right quadrant looks like. So I'll show you a clip. This is what I call the new territory.
Have you heard?
Yeah, about Martini.
What is it?
Can't say, just it's coming.
You didn't hear from me. Everybody's talking. Yeah, but keep it quiet.
What's he even saying?
Martini.
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 Okay, so that one, we did not storyboard anything. There's no storyboarding. That was one video prompt. That's the prompt. And I didn't write the prompt. An AI wrote the prompt. So this is the top right quadrant where the input, I gave it a creative vision, which is I want a narrative talking about Martini. People are gossiping, probably in an office environment. And then it's going to be fast cuts. This is literally the way I'm describing it. Fast cuts. And then at the end, you're going to slap a Martini logo on it. AI wrote this and then generated that. All the cuts are done by AI. So that's what the top right quadrant looks like. This is this purely synthetic media with a synthetic creator making a film. Okay. Is everyone feeling okay? And by the way, this is Sora 2, so this isn't even using the latest technology, yeah? If we do it now, it's going to be probably better. Okay, so that's what the new territory looks like. I showed you a video of what it looks like to do generative media manually and what it looks like to do generative media autonomously. I'm not going to talk about this section because this is what traditional software companies do really well. So if you go to the Adobe booth, I'm sure they can show you some really great tools here. But really, what Martini is in the business of is helping production companies, filmmakers, professionals explore this new territory. That's what we're in the business of. And the interesting thing about this new territory is that it comes with new problems. So legal issues, right? Can you copyright it? Am I going to get sued for generating it, right? Collaborative. So in traditional production, you can go to a film set and there's already these roles. There's roles that have been defined over the past few decades and everyone knows what they're doing. But people have no idea how to collaborate with this new medium. Lack of control. That is a serious concern for creatives. And cost tracking. If you're a producer, you have no idea how to budget for this. You go into a production thinking that AI is going to be able to cut your VFX budget, but you realize that it actually inflates it. So these are all problems that comes with the new territory. And what is AI native video production software? Well, people like us, Martini, helps you solve these problems up here. That's what we do. Okay. So I'll quickly show a little bit of what that looks like. So first we have software that helps you do AI production management. So that means cost tracking. You know exactly who's spending how much on what model on what project. So if you're a producer and you need a budget and you hired someone to do AI and you're realizing that they're burning 10K per day on nano banana credits, you know exactly what's going on. Chain of provenance. This is really important around legal concerns. First of all, to be able to copyright your work, you need to be able to prove that you actually did work. And also, a lot of times for AI productions, there's a legal review step at the end where a legal team would review every single prompt that was used in the production. We have software that makes it easy for legal teams to review to make sure that you're not going to get sued later. Scale and collaboration. So this is a new medium, new ways of working, and the top right quadrant means that it's not just humans, it's agents as well. So we work with a lot of production companies that are making their own AIs that write scripts, right? Maybe you have your little claw bot doing something. Well, we make it easy so that humans and agents, AI agents, can collaborate in the same space. And you need to be able to create a robust system. You can't plug 10 agents and 10 people into Premiere, but with Martini you can. And finally, creative control. So the control piece is something that we spend a lot of R&D on. Prompting feels like playing roulette right now, which is an appropriate analogy because we're in casino, Las Vegas, and we know at casinos you never win, right? So this is a shot from that the Martini gossip film that I showed. So there's a two shot there. It's like a medium, right? It's a medium shot, and let's say you want more coverage of the shot. It's quite hard to do with AI. So you can put it into Nano Banana and say, hey, I want a different angle. It doesn't work very well. So we've developed some technology that lets you turn 2D spaces into 3D environments, and you can move around the space like you are on a film set, and then we can render it out. So you could use these as new angles, new starting frames for your video generations. So this is useful not just for production work, but also for pre-production as well. So yeah, that's what Martini is. I just want to say one more time that this is a spectrum, right? Like I'm showing you examples of stuff up here, but really you as a video production company or video professionals don't have to lean all the way in. You can play around the space depending on different parts of your production. So for example, we have traditional film production companies that use Martini just for pre-production work. So you could do pre-production in AI, but you actually shoot the film in real life. And then maybe you feel like you're missing some shots. So you pre-render your pickups with using AI, but you actually go shoot your pickups. So it's not like you have to fully commit to that end. But when you start exploring this end of things, you probably want to start thinking about tooling. And I think what's been interesting is that the cost of producing software is so much cheaper now. So we know that a lot of companies make their own internal software now. So you might be doing parts of this internally with your own software, but with Martini, we make it easy so that you can plug it in. So we're not like saying we'll do everything for you. If there's parts of it that you want to do yourself, that's fine. You're welcome to do that. But we try to help wherever we can. So it's a short talk. I'm going to open it up to Q&A. You can, the QR code is here. Okay, I don't think this QR code does what I want it to do. Come talk to us at our booth. We're over there. You can schedule a demo with us. If you come schedule a demo with us, you can get 1 month free on the team plan. Yeah. And then our website is down here. You can email me for anything. There's actually a section 2 to this talk if you're interested. Yeah. But I'll open it up to Q&A. Any questions? Oh, go.
Yeah. Just with Sora 2 being gone, what latest video models are you using right now for generative to generate video?
Yeah, so we're model agnostic, so we let users use whatever model they want to use. What I can say is the hot model right now is Dance 2. That's what people are into. Yeah.
You mentioned traditional collaborative roles in traditional media, and you kind of showed a new way to work with agents and humans. But have you done any work on defining what those new roles are for humans and agents to collaborate in these new workflows?
Yeah, so I think the question was, what are the new ways that humans and agents can collaborate in these new workflows? I think the agent piece is still being developed. What we've seen successful is for an agent to help people write prompts. So oftentimes our platform doesn't know anything about the project, but we have directors who have been working with their AI agents over several projects. So the agents already know their style and what they want. So they've already developed the shorthand. The director and the AI has already developed a shorthand for how to express certain shots. So we've seen that work well. Something that we are exploring is connecting editing agents. So right now we don't really have that, but there are a lot of startups that are doing autonomous editing, and we think that would be an interesting part. Yeah. On the part about the collaborator, though, I think something interesting is a lot of times with these new video models, the videos come with the edits in them, so it blurs the line between the person shooting and the person editing, and I think that's something that. I mean, you can come from both ways, right? I mean, it means if you're prompting, you probably want to know something about cutting, because when you prompt, you're going to prompt with the cut, like punch into a close-up, right? And then if you're editing, you probably also want to know how to prompt, because as an editor, and I have a funny story. We were trying to get an editor to use Martini a few months ago, and then they were like, oh, I'm not into this AI thing. And then I get a call a month ago and then they were saying, Well, all my clients want AI now, so can you get me on board? So I think, I think everyone is kind of being forced to learn how to do this right now.
I've got two questions. One, is it possible to use generative AI to create an environment so that you could like control the shots yourself? So like if I wanted to put it into like Unreal Engine or something, I could just say, hey, I want to generate this scene with these characters and then kind of tweak it from there.
Okay, so your question is, can you use generative AI to create 3D scenes inside of Unreal?
Yeah, or another, basically in a way that where I can control like what angles I want to get. And like, I mean, kind of like what you showed, but almost where it's like within an engine that is better suited to creating those 3D environments.
Yeah, I'm actually not too sure about
Okay.
that. Yeah. You can look into world models. They do, I think the biggest problem with those is that they usually output Gaussians. So maybe if you're working in an Unreal environment, you want solids, but
Okay.
yeah.
And then last question is, in that quadrant where you have the fully autonomous and the generative AI, like how far away do you think we are from, because AI learning so much from all of the prompts and everything before it starts generating its own like ideas for movies, commercials, whatever, without any prompts?
Yeah, I think the my favorite example of that top right quadrant is um AI UGC ads. So there are these websites that you can go and it'll make 100 fake influencers for you and create UGC ads. Yeah, I think that's like I mean I'm very pro creator, so I always think there's gonna be human in the loop, and it'll be human guiding that process. But yeah, maybe AI can go and do that.
I mean, I don't want that, but I was just curious because of how fast it's approaching. So,
I don't think it's gonna be very good.
okay.
Yeah. And by the way, I think if you're ever scared, I think it's good to look at another area which is technically much more simpler than video production, which is text. Text is like the easiest thing that AI can do. So, do we already read novels written by AI? And do we think that in 10 years, New York Times top 10 bestsellers are going to be fully written by AI? And I don't have a question to that, but I don't think the answer is yes. And if text is not going to get there, video is orders of magnitude more complicated than text. So I don't think that there will be a day where AI is going to fully be making videos.
I have a question about the collaboration process. You had mentioned yourself as a former DP and a director, the director you worked with. Did you find other department leads working and engaging with AI? You mentioned the editors, but beyond the department leads, like the gaffers and the grips and the assistant stylists and so forth, how far down, I guess, have you observed the engagement so far?
Yeah, I think so the question is, the department leads might have a very clear role to play in AI, but how about the crew under that? I have not. I think in the types of projects that I usually engage with, it's just the department leads. My hope is that a lot of times when you go into the film industry, you go in because you're interested in doing creative decisions yourself. So I hope that this tool will help crew get to that lead position quicker. That's my hope. Have we seen it happen yet? Not really. But I think that it's a great opportunity to start using this tool and build a portfolio around it. It's an easy way to build a portfolio. And I think what's great about this is that there are very few people who are experts at this right now. So this is a tangent. Oftentimes I get people who come to me and they're like, okay, my kid is trying to go to film school or going to college. Should they study film right now? Or what should they study, right? And it's like, oh, like our film kids' job is going to be taken away. Well, on one hand, it might be harder to get a job as an AC if no one's shooting anymore. But on the other hand, you can just go shoot your own thing now. And it's not like there are many Gen AI DPs out there. It's really hard to find that. This mix of people who understand the technical side and people who understand the artistic side. There are not many people right now. Almost every single AI video production that I talk to is struggling to hire people that can do both. Because when you find people who don't understand the grammar around filmmaking, the output just does not look very good. You still need to understand the grammar. So that's my response. Yeah. I think we're still trying to figure it out.
Hi, your QR code, from what I can tell, does work. I set up a one-on-one with you through Calendly.
Oh, great.
So it does seem to work, just an FYI. But my question, just for this audience, is you very quickly said you had this sort of compliance section in Martini that could track prompts so that you could confirm, sort of the compliance part of AI use. Could you just talk about that a little bit more? Because I don't keep track of my prompts, so they go into the ether.
Yeah. So we don't tell you whether you're compliant or not. We make it easy for you to give it to your lawyers to tell you whether you're compliant or not. And the way we make it easy is that a lot of times when you're doing Gen AI, you're making a prompt on one platform, on another platform. Maybe a shot is a derivative of another shot. So you've generated something, but you take a piece of that and then you use that for something else. And you kind of get lost in what you created, what you didn't create. But we make it easy for you to visualize that so that someone who has no idea about how you worked on your project looks at it, they know exactly where something originated from. That's what we do.
Okay. And can you just comment on your pricing structure so that...
Yeah, you can actually see our pricing online, martini.film/pricing. We do have separate enterprise deal structure. So the pricing online is more for individuals, but if you're interested in enterprise pricing, you can talk to me. I'm just going to quickly go through can we talk after the talk? That'd be good.
Sure.
Okay. I just want to show my last piece here. Everything I showed is synthetic, but when I first got started with AI, a thing I did is I went back to the old films that I shot and tried to see if I could reshoot them with AI. And I'm going to show you an example. It's a shoot that I did, and it was low budget, so we didn't really have that much time to set up dolly track. And I always wanted a dolly track in one of these shots, but I never had time to do that. So I went back in AI and did it. So I'll quickly show you. Okay, so here's the original shot, static on sticks, right? Okay, that's generated. So the dolly in is fully generated. And to get that, I did many takes. So the top is the original cut, and the bottom is with the dolly in. This is what I mean when I say it's a spectrum, right? I mean, this is fully synthetic, but also not really. Yes. Yeah. So the question was it a screenshot of the video to put it into AI? Yes. I took the first frame of the original shoot and then put it into AI to try to get a dolly in. Yeah. So that's it for the talk. Thank you all for coming early morning, and please do come hang out at the booth if you want to chat more. Thank you.